How good was Vladimir Lenin at chess? I have already shown a game of his on this channel and I almost want to like Vladimir Lenin, but there's just too many red flags. Anyway, today we have an interesting game that was played between Vladimir Lenin and a man by the name of Maxim Gorky. The game was played in Capri, an island in Italy in the year 1908. With the white pieces we have Lenin and with the black pieces we have Maxim Gorky, who was also a 5-time Nobel Prize winner in, I believe, literature. So me and Gorky have something in common, that we're both good at literature. Lots of people have been telling me that my vocabulary has been getting better, so maybe my Nobel Prize is on its way. So Lenin with the white pieces starts with e4. This is how he started in previous games. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave it in the cards. And Gorky goes knight f6. This is known as the Aliekan's defense, named after the 4th world chess champion Alexander Aliekan. This move, knight f6, invites the rather intuitive move by white, e5, and this is what was seen in the game. After e5, this knight is being under attack, so decides to go to the d5 square and the best square for the knight. d4 now supporting this e4 pawn, just building a center here, and the center is the most important part of the board, so Gorky tries to undermine white center and immediately plays the move d6. And Lenin plays c4, so attacking this knight. The best square for this knight is the b6 square, and this is what Maxim Gorky decides on. In this position, black is threatening to take this pawn, so the move f4 is played, reinforcing the center for the first 5 moves. All of these moves have been pawn moves. We now see de5 and fe5. Very important to not take with the d pawn here, as it would exchange queens, and when you're playing with the white pieces, you want to try keep queens on, maybe try go for a win, so taking with this pawn as it does not invite a queen trade. And after fe5, Gorky immediately applies pressure to the center with knight c6, so attacking this d4 pawn, and now the move bishop e3. Maybe not defending it with knight f3 because of some lines of bishop g4, which could get quite complicated, so bishop e3 is fairly simple and keeps white's options open. We now see the move bishop f5, so black is just developing their pieces, putting this bishop on this nice f5 diagonal, knight c3, developing the knight. And now that black has developed their light squared bishop to this f5 square, only now going e6, shutting off the pawn chain, but good thing this bishop is outside the pawn chain. See knight f3 and bishop e7, just developing the bishop nice and simply. Bishop e2. This is all mainline theory, it has been played hundreds of times. Castles and castles. And here the most commonly played move for black is the move f6, and this is what was played in the game, undermining white's center, as white has a fairly strong grip on this center, and the most common move by far is to take on f6. However, that is not seen in the game here, and here Lenin differentiates and goes knight h4, going after black's light squared bishop and trying to win the bishop pair. As it said, if you have the 2 bishops, it's said to be advantageous, especially if you can slightly open up the position, get it semi-open, or even better, get it fully open. And if you notice here, there is pretty much nowhere for this bishop to go to. However, this move knight h4 does have a cost, because here the move fe5 is played. Knight f5, and here Gorky retakes, and you might have noticed that here black is actually up a pawn, and if you take back, you exchange queens, and black can take back with this knight. So Lenin has to make a decision here. He can either take this pawn or he can play another move, and instead he goes for the move d5, so just taking space in the center. He is down 1 pawn here, but he does have the 2 bishops as compensation. Will it be enough? Well, we're gonna see. After the move d5, there's actually no good squares for this knight to go to. If it goes to a5, it said that knights on the rim are dim. If it goes to b8, that's still bad, and those are really the only squares, except there is one square it can go to, and there is one square it does go to, and that is the square d4. So black is giving back material here. You might be wondering, why on earth would Gorky do this? Well, like I said, there's nowhere for this knight to really go, so the move knight d4 is played. Lenin is being offered his pawn back, so gladly accepts it and takes, and now there is a bishop and a knight versus a bishop and a knight, so there's no double bishop. And here the position is fairly equal, because this center can be undermined by black, and black's minor pieces have good potential. They're maybe not on the best squares right now, but they can go to good squares, as you're going to see. And here Gorky plays the move knight d7, and this looks like a seemingly harmless move at first. However, there's actually a lot of poise behind this move. And here Lenin goes, you know what, I smell danger. So he's given the position a sniff and realized that it's actually a threat of bishop c5, pinning this queen to this king and winning the queen. So for that reason, after knight d7, we see the move king h1, just avoiding this as there will no longer be a pin anymore. We see bishop c5 anyway, just developing the bishop to a better square, why not? Queen d3, keeping this queen on an active square, and now Gorky kills two birds with one stone and goes queen g5, defending this pawn as it was being attacked 2 times, and also getting this queen onto a very nice square. Here Lenin tries to complicate the position a bit more and goes knight to b5, attacking this pawn on c7, trying to tie one of these rooks down to the defense of this pawn, hoping for a move like rook c7. However, instead we see the move rook e8, putting this rook on this nice active file, and bishop f3, and maybe there will be ideas of d6 and opening this bishop up, so just getting it onto a safer square, as in chess you don't really want to have your minor pieces just be defended by like a queen or a rook or a knight. It's good to try get them defended by pawns. And Gorky here has given the position a nice scout and realized that this e3 square is very weak and vulnerable, so goes rook e3. This queen is under attack, so Lenin slides it back to d2, but now this rook can't move because this queen will be hanging. And now Gorky here has quite a good position. He's got a nice rook, nice bishop. His knight could be improved, but his queen's fairly well placed. And here he's realized that Lenin's king is very short on squares. In fact, it can't really go to any squares because of his bishop on c5 actually slices this lovely diagonal off. So here Gorky has decided it's time to play the move rook f6, and this move pretty much notifies Lenin that Maxim Gorky is here for war and he wants to checkmate him, and Lenin has to do something or he's gonna die. And after rook f6, Lenin plays the top engine move and goes b4, attacking this bishop, also getting it off this nice diagonal I was just talking about. So we see the move bishop e7. If this bishop goes back to b6 and c5 traps it, so the e7 square makes a lot of sense. And now knight c7 as this pawn was hanging. However, knight c7 was not a good move. A lot better would have been d6, trying to get this queen in the game. If d6 was played here, then white's position would be a lot more active and white would stand a lot better here. But instead of playing the move d6 here, we see the move knight c7, and this move allows Gorky to slide his rook to the h6 square, and now things are starting to get scary. Knight e6 was played. A lot better would have been knight e8, putting this knight to e8 here, and you're going to see why this knight had to be on e8, but knight e6 was played anyway, because here Gorky hangs his queen and plays the move queen g3. It's not fully hanging because you cannot take it, as this rook is pinning this king's defense and you can't move into check, so you can't take this. Here Lenin is under the threat of checkmate in 1, so responds to it by playing h3. Remember how I said this knight had to be on e8? If this knight was on e8, it would control the f6 square, the c7 square, and most importantly the d6 square, because now we see the move bishop d6. How to stop the threat of checkmate in 1 here is very hard. We see the move king g1, saying if you're going to do this, well, I'm going to try and run away to the f2 square. After king g1, it just invites more sacrifices, and after rook h3, in this position, Vladimir Lenin, the head of the Soviet Union, resigns because the threat of queen h2 is too much and this king can't escape. So that is the game. A very nice game by Maxim Gorky, and here we see Lenin's first loss on this channel. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this, like and subscribe. If you want to see any more of my videos, I've got some right here. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a good day.